companies, they work so hard to keep their reputations pristine. Doesn't always go that way. So what happens?
Well, I think it's, first of all, it's much quicker today to dent a company's reputation. If you think about Bats, for people who don't remember, they had an IPO that lasted only 9.5 seconds. Then they had to pull it. And Bats is a stock exchange. So if you can't trade your own stock, you have a problem, right? It's your core business. There's no more core business than that. JetBlue, the issue with the pilot, that's huge because, again, an airline that, has pilots that may or may not do this, that's a huge issue. And everybody kind of talks about this and jumps on the bandwagon saying this is really going to affect their reputation, it's going to affect their customers and the share price. And when I look at it, it actually doesn't happen like that. It actually, there is more of a media maelstrom, and there's a lot of stuff on Twitter and in the traditional media, but actually what happens is that the customers are quite loyal to this company. So to give you an example of Bats, you would expect their share of trading to go down, right, after such an embarrassing fiasco. And yet, I look at the numbers, and actually the shares of trading of US stocks is higher now than it was before their IPO collapsed. So there is a sense here the customers are incredibly loyal, and although the reputation gets dented, it takes a long time to actually destroy a reputation. And so...
Is loyal a synonym for stupid here? I mean, if I'm a customer and I see a stock exchange that can't trade its own stock, I'm kind of thinking about NASDAQ.
Right. You would have thought, I mean, that would be my reaction too. However, I think, and I talked to a few kind of brand experts and communication experts to write a column, and there's basically three reasons they give. One is attention spans are very short, especially in this era of social networking. People move on to the next thing very, very quickly. So secondly, there aren't that many alternatives. So if you think about Bats, you can either go to NASDAQ, you can go to New York Stock Exchange, and that's it, really. So that's where you're going to trade. And because Bats on most days is just as efficient as the other guys, it takes a lot of time to change. It's a little bit like your bank. I've got loads of issues with my bank, but it's kind of difficult to move accounts, and unless it really, really annoy me, I won't move, right? And then the third thing is, of course, that in this kind of digital era, the companies are very quick to respond as well. Like JetBlue had a blog, they immediately kind of were on the front foot and said, "Come on, let's be real here. This is a one-off issue. We gotta get better."
So is that really something that a lot of these companies have learned along the way, that the minute something happens that you don't like or that might dent your reputation, get out in front of it?
I think so. Well, some of them, not all of them. I mean, we have other examples. There's the number of companies actually still quite slow, and that's surprising. But I think the issue is you got to go out there and say it fast, and then I think people will start an understanding. Now, there's one big caveat to all my argument, which is if it's a really big disaster, then none of this applies.
All bets are off.
Yeah. So that's and BP and the oil spill knows all about that.
Okay, and you say attention spans are shorter, but we live in a world where nothing happens in the dark. I mean, everyone's got a cell phone. Everyone's got instant
feed.
video, recounting of these things. I'm stunned that in fact, your reputation doesn't persist longer, not shorter.
Right, so that's a big issue. I think the reputation is very fickle, right? But my point is simply that the reputation may be dented, but actually your business doesn't suffer as much as you think, unless you really, really make a big mistake or you make a cumulative series of mistakes.